glad y'all have joined us. Our galleries are arranged by culture and then chronologically. So this is the Chinese gallery, and I'm just going to draw your attention to this case over here. Now, these pieces, on this side, these pieces are from the Neolithic. Okay, so Neolithic means the New Stone Age. And in China, the Neolithic, the New Stone Age, is best known for ceramics. And some of these pieces date 3,000 to 3,500 years BC. So they're some of the oldest pieces in the museum. This large storage jar is from northwestern China, from Gansu province. Today is Gansu province. This is from a period where agriculture was just starting to catch on in China. So agriculture allowed for a division of labor. There was probably a family of potters. We think that this trade was handed down generationally. But one interesting thing about this pot is you see that it's very beautifully decorated. And there is no functional reason for them to decorate this piece. What connects all of Chinese art is the use of line and the importance of line. And the entire Chinese language and East Asian languages, the written language is all based on line. So you see the importance of line in this vigorous brushwork. And this is a theme that's kind of enduring to this day. One of the most important shapes in Chinese art. And we see it right from the earliest period. There's some conjecture about why tripods are important. Very, very complicated to make these bronzes, to source the metals, to smelt them, to cast them in three-piece molds. And they were used on a ritual altar. And this period is sometimes referred to as the period of ritual and magic. And there are many ceremonies that appeal to the gods, asking, are we going to have a good harvest? Will we be successful in war? So many of these vessels were used in those kind of rituals. This is a jade blade. So we don't have much jade in our collection. This is our only piece of Neolithic jade, Stone Age jade. It's a blade. This is a blade. I hope you'll have a chance to come get a closer look. And it has a concave, the blade itself is concave and still very sharp. I mean, it's sharp to the touch. I was tempted to shave with it because I think it probably could still work. But this jade was used in animal or human sacrifice. So during this period, particularly with prisoners of war, they would still practice animal or human sacrifice. So the shape of this blade and the archaeological resources indicate that this was probably used for disemboweling. That is a very beautiful piece of jade. There are two types of jade, nephrite and jadeite. Nephrite is the earliest jade. So this is a very nice example of jade. Age and the Bronze Age, now we move to the Han Dynasty, which is one of the great dynasties in Chinese culture. There are 3 or 4 of these golden ages of Chinese civilization. The Han Dynasty is roughly 200 BC to 200 AD. And whereas during the Shang Dynasty, when a noble person or a lord would die, they would actually bury his servants, and sometimes his soldiers, perhaps even one of his wives. They would bury them live in the tombs. There was still live sacrifice, live burial. In the Han Dynasty, they figured out that they can make clay surrogates for the living beings. So and I think this was an ingenious development. I'm sure somebody came up with the idea that rather than burying me, I've made this likeness that looks just like you. And I'll promise I'll serve you in the afterlife. Because the idea is Stone Age, the rest of this gallery, is devoted to Mingqi, which is burial goods. These are goods from tombs. And if you were a nobleman and had huge farms, you would want your granaries to be buried with you. You would want your watchtowers. These watchtowers give us a good idea of what architecture was like. Architecture is stiff, not a lot of movement, not a lot of personality. When we move to the later following dynasties, from say 200 to 600, that period, the tombwares have a lot more. But the Sui dynasty is very short-lived. It's only about 25 years in length. Historically, in that we get very formal figures again. Okay, these are actually stylistically more similar to the Han Dynasty than the few centuries that preceded. Into the tomb, underground, subterranean pathway. These pieces would be set up in pairs. And the idea is that these would scare away tomb robbers. Tomb robbers would have been there, they would see these fantastic monster creatures, bits and pieces of all kinds of animals. So, part of very vivid medieval Chinese imagination. And then these general, earth builds up on top of the tombs, the weight of the earth makes the tomb collapse. So when these pieces are found, they're usually found in a dozen or more pieces, and then they're restored. That's all of them black light. So like, I don't know if they still make glazes ahead. So that's in the brown, green, and cream or white. And if you ever see blue, it's worth 50 times more, because blue is very rare. So we're always hopeful we'll find a little patch of blue because it's so rare. But the Sansai, during this time, they still hadn't completely controlled where the glaze would go once they fired it. Sometimes China is very inward-looking and rejects things that are non-Chinese. But interestingly, according to most historians, when China is strong and self-confident, it's more interested and capable of absorbing things from the outside. So that's why camels are so important. And then horses. The emperors, Tang emperors, loved their horses. And they had heated stables for their horses and named their horses. One of the most famous Tang Dynasty paintings is a hand scroll of portraits of the emperor's horses. And the most famous, of course, made in medieval. Many different kinds of recreation. And these two women are playing polo. So polo was very popular for women in the Tang. And another Tang painting shows that women played a game very similar to soccer. It shows women kicking a ball around. It looks almost exactly like a soccer ball. And here is the ideal Tang beauty. This is their Marilyn Monroe or whatever of the day. This is the ideal beauty. And very nice piece. Very nice piece. Dynasty, about 960 to 1125, is one of the most important periods for ceramics in Chinese history. And we have all